Boom, shakalaka boom. You've tuned in to the free range human show of choice, your daily dose of reality radio. This is the Clay Edwards Show. I'm, of course, Clay Edwards, coming at you live here from the mothership, 103.9 FM, WYAB, streaming worldwide and live at Save JXN on Facebook, X, YouTube, and Rumble in the Jungle. That's right, Rumble. Great free speech platform there. Going toe-to-toe the best it can with YouTube. Highly recommend downloading the Rumble app to your phone and subscribing to the Clay Edwards Show. And every video we upload to YouTube, we upload to Rumble. It is a mirror image of our YouTube, but without any censorship issues. So when inevitably YouTube decides that we've talked about something they don't like, we've always got it backed up onto Rumble. So it's a good app. It's a lot of good content creators over there on Rumble too, by the way, that got kicked off YouTube or even that can continue to be on YouTube, but produce a lot of content that YouTube doesn't like, stuff about vaccines, COVID, just more aggressive type content. Salty Cracker puts a lot of really good stuff up there, for example. And Steven Crowder does a lot of stuff over there. Anyway, I'm a fan of it. It's a pretty simple to use interface. I mean, YouTube's is easier to use, but Rumble's pretty good. Not a lot of ads. So anyway, just thought I would throw that out there. I think you can find me at SaveJXN or search Clay Edwards Show. And of course, you should be doing that on all social media platforms. TikTok, Instagram, at SaveJXN, Facebook, all of them. X, at SaveJXN. Been quite a crap show over on all of those platforms here lately because your boy stands up for what he believes in. And I won't back down. You can't call me racist enough to have me back down and cower to a bunch of fools. Never. I've been sitting there reading these posts about me. They're mad. They're mad at your boy because I don't have any empathy or any sympathy about a kid. He ain't even a kid. He's 18 years old. Got himself killed because he shot a cop. Sorry, not sorry. I'm not going to live in a time where somehow we're supposed to have sympathy for somebody who tried to kill a cop. If that cop had died, we'd be having a whole nother story. And I can guarantee you the people with their faux outrage, their righteous indignation over me basically celebrating the death of a thug, they would be celebrating the death of that cop. I 100%, my last dollar to my name, would bet they would be celebrating the death of that cop. I don't have to go much further than just reading the comments from the people saying as much. So don't let a couple angry wannabe thugs on social media deter you guys from standing up for what's right. On no planet was that a tragedy, what happened the other day. It just wasn't. That wasn't a tragedy on both sides. Some of the politicians and leaders around here stepping up and making posts calling it a tragedy. Hell no, it wasn't a tragedy. It was a community improvement killing that was brought on because an idiot tried to shoot a cop. Period. End of discussion. My prayers are only with one group of people, the cops, for what they have to go through knowing that they had to kill somebody. I don't want to tell them how they should or shouldn't feel. That's on them. Sure, it's not a great feeling to know you had to kill somebody, even if it was your life or theirs, you versus them. I'm sure that still weighs heavy on you, and I take that into consideration. But this faux outrage from people that just are still so smooth-brained and stupid that they think that the police are actively out trying to kill black men on traffic stops. We got to stop this. This is absolute nonsense. I told y'all the other day, I'm saying it again, this is not a rerun, by the way. Today is Thursday, February 20th. As Shaun gets plugged up and plugged in, let's get him on camera real quick. We got Shaun the Turk, YURTKURAN here in the studio with us. Good morning, Shaun.
Good morning. Sorry about running a little late. I left my wallet at the house, and I was like, I don't want to get...
All good.
So run back.
All good in the hood, brother. All good in the hood. Glad to have you here. Thanks for coming in on a Thursday.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you heard what I was talking about.
Yep.
You and I have talked about this. You okay talking about this
Absolutely,
real quick?
sure.
So, Shaun is admittingly more liberal and, admitting, a lot of times him and I fall on different sides of the coin when it comes to stuff like this. He may be more passionate about this than me. Shaun, where do you stand? Let me set it up real quick.
Sure.
Let me start you with a question.
Yep.
Was it a tragedy?
No, I wouldn't call it a tragedy. I mean, I don't think it's good when anybody gets, that's not true.
It's a tragedy that it got to that point.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I think it's that kid thought he should pull a gun on a police officer. Like, I don't know where you learned that's an acceptable. He's such a young guy. 18
And shot.
Not
and
just
shot.
Shot. Yeah, excuse me. I forgot about that. Yeah, most important part. I don't know where at a traffic stop, where that's just something that you would think would be acceptable.
And he's just a passenger in the vehicle.
Yeah,
he wasn't even the reason they got pulled over.
That you would take some, a cop's life because you think that's okay for getting pulled over. I just, I don't understand that at all. And, I think you said something, I think it was maybe Monday or Tuesday. I was listening and, why don't we not celebrate, but why isn't there more outrage when the police are killed? Yep. And I think that was a kind of a really important thing. I never really thought about it that way. And I was like, yeah, I mean, these guys put their lives on the line for everybody. Every day they go to work, and there's not this why isn't there this rioting or anger when they get killed? We should be angry because they're sacrificing for us. Shouldn't we be pissed off about that? I think that's when they get killed, or something happens. We have a nice, there's the funerals and people do stuff for them, but it's not this, you don't feel this community outrage. I mean, we should be mad about that when they get killed or get shot. We should be what the hell is wrong with our society when the police are getting killed?
If based on what I have pieced together about this kid's family, if the cop had died, we should all be out in front of their home with tiki torches and pitchforks running them out of town and setting an example that we don't want this in our community.
You mean at the family?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what you're saying. Okay. Yeah, I mean, the
same family that's out here fighting with people on the internet, talking about this, and I'm just making a point here. If a cop gets killed, there needs to be accountability.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously in the product of upbringing, anything. I mean, you and I both know that we get pulled over police. It's not time to pull the gun. It's time to give him a license and say, yes, sir. I got pulled over not long ago, and kid was 20 years younger than me, probably 22, 23-year-old cop. And the first thing out of my mouth is, yes, sir. I'm 45 years old, but I don't think about it. that's what you do. You get pulled over. Here's my license. Here's my insurance. There you go. Whatever. I remember my dad when I was young. The first thing he taught me, now it's making me think about it. He says the first thing you say when you get pulled over and I got my license was, "I'm sorry." Just apologize. I don't care if you did anything wrong or didn't, or you think you were right. Just say you're sorry, officer. And I was learned that was the easiest way to handle that, even if you felt that you didn't, do whatever they're saying you did, which you most likely did. I mean, most likely you were speeding or you
got pulled over for a reason.
Yeah, I mean, so that's what Dad would say. Just say, "I'm sorry," the first words out of your mouth, and that's what I've always done. I'm sorry, I apologize, whatever. And, a lot of times I've had so many police officers okay, man, go ahead, whatever, and write you a warning or just let you go. I'm sure you've had the same experience before. Mm-hmm. And I think why can't we just handle it like that? I don't understand why we could just say, "Yes, sir, here you go. Yes, ma'am."
It's because some of it's upbringing and some of it's the media. And the media has brainwashed black youth or black men, period, into thinking that every traffic stop is going to be a life or death situation just because they're black. And it puts them in this fight or flight mode. And I'm not making excuses for them necessarily, but I've talked to enough cops about this too. And they go into this fight or flight mode, thinking that the cop's about to kill them, and it raises the tensions up so high between the two. Then the cop ends up getting more aggressive, and then they get more aggressive, and then boom, whatever happens. I
was one time, me and a bunch of prosecutor buddies were kind of analyzing all those, white cop, black person that was killed during a police stop for like over the course of the last 10 years, and just kind of looking at those things objectively, like what situations was the officer not justified, and there was very few when you look at it, just like an objective look at it. And I'm going back to like Michael Brown, where the witnesses actually ended up, I think they proved that they were lying about the situation, and then Michael Brown had actually attacked that police officer. There's just a numerous amount of situations, or somebody had a weapon, and pulled the weapon out, and the officer. So it was all these situations that were made up, kind of what you're saying, like were made up into like things they were not.
Yeah.
And situations that one of my friends put it, and this may say harshly, but it was a good point. If you just complied, nothing would have happened. And I think that's the problem. And I've had this with, I've had people come to my office, white people too. This is just not just a black thing too. This is like they don't want to comply. Like I've learned that, I'll have like people come in and say, will you sue the police? And the first thing I say, that's not what I do. I don't sue the police. Like that's not my thing. You go to somebody else, because they think that they're not supposed to have to comply. And again, this is like cross-racial. Like I've had this experience with so many people where they're like, dude, the police did this. And I'm always like, the police they tell you to just do what they say. What is so hard about that? But there's a lot of people out there, I think, society now has taught a lot of people, like, don't, like, you have rights, and you do have rights, but there's sometimes where you just need to listen and just do what you're told and just shut up. And I think a lot of people just don't want to do that now.
But we all understand that on a traffic stop, the police are in control.
They are.
I mean, your freedom is at risk if you don't comply. Now, you talk about it's white, black, and it is. There's plenty of white people I see out there too, and online.
Yeah, we were just talking about that the other day.
Yeah, that have a problem with police.
Yeah,
but they also choose to live in the safer areas, and they don't want to deal with the broken window policing because they want to be just lawless enough. Well, you know what? You give that up when you want to come live in a safe place. If you don't like that, go live in Jackson. Yeah. Is all I can tell you. But it still seems to be something in the black community that goes on in these traffic stops where it gets ratcheted up to a level that the gunplay happens more so than in the white community. Even though I know that actually statistically somebody they'll say that more white people get killed by the cops than black people, but there's a whole lot more white people. If we're going to do the per capita type stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, but it also ain't us when little Jimmy gets himself killed by the cops. We ain't out burning down the cities. We just say, little Jimmy followed.
Yeah, well, I think that's a joke I used to run about that. White people will convict their own mother. Like that's kind of the way. I don't know what that is, but it just seems to always be true. I
ain't my brother's keeper.
No, but
when it comes to white black nonsense.
Yeah, I think you're right about the where the media has ramped this up when a black man gets pulled over by the police and it creates this tension. I've talked to cops about that that's happened, and also with white people I see it's more like this righteous indignation. Like that's what I've kind of like what I can't believe it. Like I'm not supposed to be pulled over. Like shut up. You ran a red light. You speeded. Like you get pulled over, and it's just I don't know. It's just the society is. The way it's evolved over the last 20, 30 years into this kind of thought process. To me, I don't know why anybody want to be a police officer anymore. I just wouldn't want to do it. Just having to deal with this crap.
Well, it's a calling. Let's take a call.
No, I understand that. I'm just saying they shouldn't have to deal with what they're having to deal with now.
Sure. Let's take a call from Ryan on the Mazda Jackson phone line. Ryan, thanks for staying on hold, brother. You on there?
No, it's all good, man. I just want to give you a different perspective, and Please. I'm not defending anything. Sure. But and I just want to start off by saying this.
Well, when I saw your name pop up on the caller ID, I was hoping you would. I figured you would have a different angle on it, so I'm interested to hear it.
Oh yeah, I just want to start off by saying my father is a retired cop. He was Capitol Police before, when they only had jurisdiction to the state, where the state building, Woodford building, all that type of stuff. So I was, raised by a cop. But there is something that goes on in black families that a lot of people may not know or they may know. But there is a talk that is had with young black kids, because I was one of them and I had the talk. When a cop pulls you over, you turn on all the lights, you make sure you can see your hands, you're not moving around, you make sure you have all your information ready to go, and you are respectful. That's what I was taught, and that's what my brothers were taught, that's what my cousins were taught. But, the fact that you have to have that conversation leads to a bigger issue. I'm not saying that what happened was right at all by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is there is a bit of anxiety when you are pulled over, even if you are, right, even if you didn't do anything, there is a bit of anxiety. And I don't know if that's just, something that was just taught to us. But I remember even my father was a cop. He had that conversation with me, what to do when a cop pull you over, because it was a time that it was, it was something that could have went wrong. And just by that, I'm saying there's a bit of anxiety there when you are pulled over.
Well, that anxiety is not exclusive to just the black community. I can assure you that when I get pulled over, I have anxiety as well, because you don't know what's going to happen exactly, or that it can escalate. I mean, that's not exclusive to any particular group, I promise.
Right, and I get that. It's just that I believe it is a little different, but I don't know. And I just want to ask you this question,
sure.
And you too, Shaun. Did your parents have to give you that conversation to say, hey, when you pull over by the cop, this is what you do?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And again, some people are not taught that. Some people are. And again, I'm not making excuses whatsoever. That kid, that 18-year-old, kid, man, whatever you want to call it, he did something I would never do. And I don't know what was on his mental. I don't know. And again, this is not an excuse for anything, but I can't wait till the actual footage comes out. And I'm not saying it's going to, justify anything, but I want to reserve what I have to say, about the situation until I actually see, video rolling.
Ryan,
screenshots.
To tack off what you're saying, I kind of know what you're. I think I know what you're getting. I've had a lot of black friends over the years that have explained that to me. What you're talking about, I think it was a little different, the conversation you probably had than I did. So I would agree with you there. The conversation I had with my father was just like I said earlier, like just do what they say. That was the conversation that we had, and that from when I got my license, and that was pretty much it. It wasn't. I wouldn't say it was an emphasis. He just said do what they say, and I always listened to my dad. I was one of those kids. So that's the conversation that I had growing up.
Hey Ryan, we got to take our break, brother. Great call, man. Thank you.
Yeah, it's all good. Y'all take care, man.
You too, brother. Peace out. We'll be right back on the Clay Edwards Show with Shaun YURTKURAN here on a Wednesday on WYAB. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show. This segment brought to you by A1 Gear and Auto, Highway 49 South, Florence, Mississippi. Can't miss it. Big white building, big red sign. You having any automotive issues, whether it's brakes, a check engine light, anything, they got you taken care of. But what they specialize in is your ring and pinion. You have any issues with that, or you need to upgrade because you went and got some bigger rims and tires, all that type stuff, swing by. See Justin and the crew today. It's going to be diagnosed right the first time, and it's going to be fixed right on time. Occasionally, they will sometimes run into a problem that requires additional work to be done. They'll, of course, address that with you prior. They're not going to spend your money for you and then tell you how much it is. Everything is agreed upon in advance. And, again, if any troubles come up along the way, they'll let you know. They've never done me wrong. Great place to do business with. I send all my friends and family to A1 Gear and Auto. All right, Highway 49 South, Florence, Mississippi. All right, we got a special call here on the Mazda Jackson phone line. We got former Madison County Deputy Sheriff Brad Sullivan. And you may remember Brad actually, he got shot and it changed his life forever in a traffic stop. So I just wanted to set that up and pass the baton off here to Brad. Brad, thanks for calling in this morning, brother.
Good morning. How y'all this morning?
We're doing good.
I just wanted to call in and to the question that the other caller was having, whether or not his family or white families actually have to have the conversation with their kids or not about getting pulled over by the law enforcement. Me coming from law enforcement, I did not come from a law enforcement family. And my parents had the discussion with me that when I was to get pulled over, that I was respectful, turn the lights on in the vehicle, pull to the side of the road, make sure my hands were seen, and the main thing, be respectful, and take your chewing out if you get chewed out. I mean, they went through everything. And my dad was one that didn't like the police at all. He went to jail a lot, broke the law a lot, but I turned out a lot different because of the conversations that he had with me. And for people being scared when they get pulled over by law enforcement, it doesn't matter to me whether you're black or white. Everybody gets scared. when they get pulled over by law enforcement. It's just a natural reaction, not really scared. It's fear of being pulled over and that you're in trouble. As far as I'm concerned, I mean, if I get pulled over today, I'm still nervous about getting pulled over because law enforcement's behind me, pulling me over. It's just a natural reaction everybody has. So I don't think that needs to be used as an excuse for anything at any time.
No, I'm with you, man. Look, we were talking off air for a second. I've gotten several text messages from people just since the last break, or just going into the break, and most people say, "Hey, man, we have that same conversation in the White House too." That is not exclusive to black folks. This assumption that only black people get anxiety on traffic stops, or that they are getting killed at a higher clip than white people. It's a myth, and it's being put out there by the media because it sells a narrative. And what it's doing is it's driving law enforcement out of law enforcement. It's getting law enforcement officers killed. They're willing what they're talking about into existence because it's getting black youths or black men in general killed on traffic stops because they're ratcheting things up to a level that's untenable.
That's absolutely correct. I mean, I was shot in the line of duty, and I was shot by a white man. I was not shot by a black man. Yep. I mean, when we make traffic stops, I don't know the person that I pulled over, and they don't know me. We never know how that's going to go. I always hated people that say routine traffic stops because there's nothing routine about any traffic stop you make.
You know, Brad, and I know you listen to the show a lot, man. I appreciate it. You know, one of the things I always talk about is giving police officers the benefit of the doubt on a traffic stop, because you don't know. A couple things. You don't know what you guys have already seen by that point in the day. You could have seen a dead body in a car wreck. You could have just gotten into a fight with a knucklehead on the side of the road. There's so much that you guys go through on a daily basis before lunchtime that people just are really asking to give you all the benefit of the doubt if you do come across somebody that may be a little edgy, may be a little rude. I mean, because I'm guessing they're not planning on it. They're not pulling you over thinking, I'm about to tune this sucker up, you know, but you walk to the door, you're as polite as you can be. The next thing you know, why I get pulled over? And it's just, they go great into arguing, right into arguing from the jump. I ain't do nothing. I ain't got no license. Why you want to see my license?
That is absolutely correct, because you never know what law enforcement has gone through before they ever make that traffic stop. And they're not pulling people over just because that's what they want to do and they're having a good time doing it. That's not something that they plan on doing. And they don't know that they're going to write the ticket before they ever make the traffic stop either.
Yeah, you know, I compared, and this is probably a terrible comparison, but when people say that cops like pulling people over, you know, like I worked in the car business for years. You know what I hated doing when a customer pulled up on the car lot? I hated having to run out there and catch a customer on the lot and feel like I was bothering them. And I've often said, I wonder if cops kind of feel the same way about having to pull people over. It's like, man, I hope that this person isn't an a-hole, you know, and understands that this is my job. And that's kind of how I looked at it. Obviously, the potential results are completely different, but I'm just comparing I hope I don't come across as bothering somebody and this be a confrontational meeting. And so I think about that a lot when I hear people talk about, you know, getting pulled over by cops.
And you're absolutely correct, because most cops do not want to just steadily pull people over at all. That's not something they look for, but you usually don't have a choice in the matter of making a traffic stop, because if you don't pull that vehicle over and then somebody else sees them doing something wrong or doing something bad and says the cop was right there, they're going to get the tag number off the vehicle and call in and complain about you then because you didn't make a traffic stop on someone.
Yep. Brad, look, brother, we got to take a break, man. Thanks so much for listening and calling in this morning. We needed that other perspective of it.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. That's strong right there. Look, we ran over big time that first segment. Let's take a break real quick. Come back on the Clay Edwards Show with Shaun YURTKURAN. We got some more stuff we want to talk about also. And this obviously is going to steer the first hour, but at least the second hour, we're diving into Delbert Hosemann's collapsing yesterday. Is that the end of his political career as far as in doing anything moving forward? I think so. We'll unpack it. We'll be right back on WYAB. Guys, I'm seeing some comments here about the live stream lagging. I don't know. It's doing something funky on my screen, too. I think it's an issue with Google Chrome. I hate to kill the feed and start over, but we may have to if it's lagging bad. But I've only seen like one person say anything. Is if y'all let me know. Is everybody having a problem with the stream? And if so, we'll restart. I'll pull up another browser and we'll restart it at the top of the hour. I hate to do it in the middle of the show, but somebody give me an answer on that. No lag there. All right, so maybe somebody's just having a bad connection, but I am seeing something funky on my screen. All right, other people are saying y'all are having, more people are having issues. I'm going to kill the feed here. Well, I'm going to let it be bad. I'm going to let it be bad and then we will reset. So it seems to be bad on Facebook, not YouTube. All right. Maybe we just kill the Facebook feed and everybody go over to YouTube. All right. Y'all are saying more people are saying it's good than bad, so I'm going to roll with it. And I apologize, but if anybody misses anything, the audio-only podcast will be available right after the show. So we're saying it's good on X, saying it's good on YouTube. We're going to roll like that. My apologies for Facebook. Obviously I don't have any control over the technical side of this. So some days it's good, some days it's bad. So, all right, cool. Thank y'all for bearing with it, and thank y'all for getting up and tuning in this morning. Almost 400 people in the live stream. That's good in the 7 o'clock hour, so I appreciate y'all. That's a big number. All right, stay tuned. We'll be right back from the commercial break. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show. We're live here on WYAB, streaming worldwide. Save JXN, Facebook, YouTube, X, and Rumble. This segment brought to you by our friends over at Huey Magoo's. Let me find my little sheet here. Huey Magoo's, guys, is the filet mignon of chicken. At Huey Magoo's, they serve up only the top 3% of premium chicken tenderloins. Huey Magoo's handcrafted tenderloins are marinated for 24 hours and cooked to perfection. And you and your family will absolutely taste the difference. Huey Magoo's is not your ordinary chicken tender restaurant either. They also offer wraps, sandwiches, salads, and meals. You hungry yet? You know you are. Visit Huey Magoo's today, Bass Pro Drive in Pearl or Lakeland Drive in Flowood. Huey Magoo's, the filet mignon of chicken. And just real quick, you got a high school kid, you got a college kid looking for a job. I talked to my buddy Chris, who runs the place over there, and he is, in fact, looking for some new team members. And they train these folks right. They teach these kids how to be respectful and to the customers, how to look them in the eye, how to talk to folks. You can learn some really, really good life lessons working at a properly ran, I don't want to call it fast food restaurant, but for lack of a better term, fast food restaurant. And somewhere like Huey Magoo's, that has really good training, and that is something you can take with you through life. And who knows? It's good. Just good, man. When I was in the car business and was in charge of some recruiting and hiring there for a little while, I noticed trends of people who had worked in like McDonald's and places like that for an extended amount of time ended up being some of our best salespeople because they had that training of how to work with people and how to make contact. And our younger kids these days, I didn't mean to jump down a rabbit hole here talking about this, but Shaun, you probably see it a lot. There's a communication problem. And this can go back to the cop shooting situation too. There's this young generation does not know how to communicate with people very well. They're staring at their phones constantly, and they just don't know how to look people in the eye and have a conversation, how to ask questions, how to answer questions properly sometimes. Like they don't know how to articulate asking a question. And I think going and working somewhere in retail and being forced to talk to people can be really, really good for somebody at a young age.
Yeah.
I could probably get some kind of – there's probably a specialist out there we could call in and have a whole conversation about this. But just saying, man, back to Huey Magoo's, if you got a kid out there looking for a good job, it's going to work somewhere for a good locally owned company, it's Mississippi owned, consider Huey Magoo's over like some of these other fast food places. They're going to take care of them. You're going to get the good training and you're going to work for some good people. So just wanted to throw that out there. Shaun, circling back, we'll push the Delbert stuff to the top of the hour.
Sure.
We got a lot of comments, to say the least, on this. We had several older white females texting in. I think they have an interesting perspective. This lady on the Guns and Gear text line, by the way, the Guns and Gear text line is 769-241-1944. She says, being respectful goes both ways. I am a white woman, and I comply when I get pulled over, speeding. But I've had some butthole cops act arrogant towards me. There's a bald white cop at JPD that sits on 55, and he was not nice about it when he pulled me over. I think he enjoys pulling people over. Pulling over people when they're in their way to work, when they're on their way to work, when he should be pulling over these blacked out Dodge Chargers and Camaros, but they're never around to pull those kind of drivers over. Well, we think that. I know we think, why ain't they pulling those people over? But obviously we're not everywhere every time. Maybe they do. Or maybe, look, I don't want to speak for the cops here, but maybe they know that the people in those Chargers and Camaros and Nissan Altimas are going to be a handful, and they just don't want to deal with that smoke. And it's just they see Betty Ann rolling through going 80 in her Camry, and figure that'd be a
shooting fish in a barrel.
Yeah,
that's
be a less of a headache traffic stop. I'm not saying that's right either. I'm just saying, that surely that has to go through people's heads sometimes. It would mind. I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
It would mind. But yeah, man, look, to my officer friends out there listening, hey, guys, be nice, I guess.
That's like when we used to get a case, you have a case where the defendant confessed and somebody identified them, or you have the one where it's a little shakier evidence. You're like, I'm going to go with the one where he confessed, where somebody was actually identified.
Yeah,
that'll be a good win for me.
We all prefer the path of least resistance.
Absolutely.
I think that's fair. Here's another text. Oh wow, that's really, really long. But I'm just going to say this: I'm a 58-year-old female, and my father had those talks with all 4 of his daughters as we got to driving age. So it is not some sad burden that only the black parents have to do nowadays. That traffic stop was on a Sunday afternoon in broad daylight with dozens of cars and patrons as other businesses in plain sight. So no, it's not like this 1960 and the cops happened to catch 2 black boys out on the back road all alone. It's dark. And nobody around to see what they do. I agree. That's a great point. And I think that's something that the black community, and guys, I'm not picking at y'all here, but I think that's something that y'all feel like is an exclusive thing. I've heard that said for a long time. We have to have talks with our sons about, how to act on traffic stops. Everybody does that. I literally don't know anybody whose parents haven't had that talk with them around driving age. If you get pulled over, my mom was in law enforcement. I remember this whole post George Floyd. I made an offer one time when I first started the Save Jackson page. I said, look, I tell you what, I'd gotten some retired officers involved, and I said I would be the knucklehead. I said, everybody can meet up, and if y'all think you guys getting killed on traffic stops is such a pandemic, we'll do it at the high schools, and we'll show you how to act on a traffic stop and how not to act on a traffic stop, and what the consequences and repercussions are. All right, you can go to hell, you racist. I'm just saying, what else do you want us to do? How about we teach you how to act on a traffic stop? Teach you how not to act on a traffic stop. But I'm convinced there's a big portion of the population, based on the comments and replies that I've seen, that they want to believe that the cops are out hunting down black men.
I think your idea about the class is not a bad idea. I used to joke.
I don't think it is either.
A friend of mine and I have been joking for years about this class that. This is back when I was a prosecutor and he was a criminal defense attorney. We used to joke let's put on like a legal education class for kids that for instance for armed robberies, because the average armed robbery netted you $20. We figured out the average ones we'd seen, and so for the
they get $20
for every time you arm rob someplace, so average it out over all the ones that we had worked on, and we said, well, let's put on this education class for kids and say, look, you rob a whatever, a liquor store or a gas station, and you get $20, and then you get 20 years. 15 to 20 years was the average time that you'd receive for that kind of a crime. And well, if you went to go work at McDonald's for 2 hours, you would have received the same money, at this point. And so your cost benefit analysis is not good here.
Mm-hmm.
Go to work at McDonald's for a few hours, and you'll get more money, and you don't have to go to jail.
Yeah.
All you got to do is put in 2 to 3 hours. You'll get $40 or whatever, and then you go home. I mean, just, you know what I'm saying? Like, why would you could choose that path and then quit the next day and still get your check, and you didn't have to rob anywhere. You don't have to go to prison forever. You don't have to be a convicted felon. So, you know.
Yeah. Let's see here. Guns and Gear text line. What's the name? I forget the guy's name anyway. Because I went to a DUI class in Clinton one time. I'm not shocked. And it was a cool officer that ran the class and was telling us about officers with bad attitudes and was explaining to the class that you will run into some because you never know what their morning was like when they come in. The term he used was POP, police passed off. I wanted meant to be peed off. Anyway, because they are out there. So you were wrong about some cops. They are not out. They are out there. I didn't say the cops weren't having a bad day. I thought I specifically said that cops can have bad days, and they are out there. It happens. It happens. Somebody said this class needs to be held in schools to kids that are about to start driving. I agree. I mean, I seriously think this is a good idea. Let's take a call here real quick on the Mazda Jackson phone line. Hey, you're on there.
Good morning, Clay.
Hey, Sylvia.
Shaun, how are you?
Great.
Good. I'm just calling to say a couple of things. Hopefully I'll get them all in. Number one, that young man made a choice before he had the incident. He chose to do what he did, and sometimes the wages of sin is death. He had it quickly. Now, for instance, with the George Floyd incident, George Floyd made choices. First choice, he went to do drugs. That was his choice. Second choice, passing that 20. That was his choice. Third choice, not cooperating with the police. That was his choice. His choices led to his death. I'm tired of these black people blaming the police. The average police officer has a desire to protect and serve. Now, I'm going to tell you something that happened when I was little. We were robbed in the 60s in Los Angeles in the black community. They called police pigs. My mother hated that. We were robbed. The younger police officer took the took the report. I did not know this until I was grown, but my mother asked the older police officer, would you talk to my girls and let my girls know that you guys are here to help, that if they need help, they come to you. Well, let me tell you what that old officer did. He's more than likely gone now. I'm 63, and I was about 7 when this happened. We were watching Batman, and he asked us what we were watching, and I told him Batman. And he said that he wishes that we had Batman now to help protect the city. Then he started talking to my sister and I as if we were his grandchildren. That's probably where my love for law enforcement began. Before that man left, he hugged us, told us to be good girls and don't get in trouble and make good grades, and he went on his way. I remember that incident quite well. I am tired of the black community acting like police are out to get you. You make a choice. You also can control the way things happen at a traffic stop. Don't cop an attitude. Act like you have some sense. When you do, the police officer has to go to the next level. He or she is the one that is in charge. You can control, as a civilian, how it goes by the way you act.
Miss Sylvia.
I'm sick of this, and I'm done.
Thank you so much. Great call. Love it. We'll be right back on WYAB. Clay Edwards, Shaun, YURTKURAN. Miss Sylvia made a great point there. And just for those that don't know, maybe you're new to the show, Miss Sylvia, and maybe you can't tell, Miss Sylvia is a black lady that lives in Jackson. She's an Uber driver, and she listens to the radio all day. We appreciate Miss Sylvia's support. She was my very first caller on this show ever, going back 4 years or so ago. Anyway, love her input on it. She's very passionate. She's a big supporter of the police, and she does not make excuses. She does not allow race to be an excuse in any situation, and that's people I support there. All right, guys, we're going to take a break here. When we come back, I don't know, we'll have like a minute. But anyway, top of the hour, changing the topics. I'm not going to beat this dead horse much longer. We're going to talk about Delbert Hosemann. And if we get a chance, I want to talk about some Google searches that are going on up in Washington, D.C. that I find very interesting. That just screams guilty deep state bureaucrats. Are they considering killing themselves? Suicide searches have spiked in the D.C. area. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back in to the show. We'll just start calling it the show. We got about a minute here for our top of the hour break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Delbert Hosemann's big fall yesterday. It really wasn't a fall; it was a collapse. He fainted, and man, he took a hard hit. We're going to talk about that respectfully. I may disagree with the man politically, but I never wish ill will on anybody. We pray for Delbert's speedy recovery. But we want to talk about his political future. Does he have one after this? And we're also going to get into some Google trends up in D.C. that just scream guilty. I turned Shaun onto this late last night, and he has figured them out, man. So shout out to Shaun for putting in that work. We've got a big second hour planned. We may end up circling back to this conversation a little bit. We've got some really, really good texts that I may want to read at the end of the show. Online audience, stay tuned. I may do some of that with you guys now. We'll be right back on WYAB. Actually, that's what I'm going to do. All right, online audience, I don't want to leave you guys on hold for 7 minutes after just leaving y'all on hold. So let's do this. Let's pull up the Guns and Gear text line and some of your chats here. And I would like to read a few of them. Let's start here. CC says on YouTube, a man is made by the age of 7. His ideas, perceptions of like, beliefs, and programming. You take that same man and put a uniform on them, you still have the same man. Well, using that same theory there, we can say the same thing about the thugs out there running the streets. They have been molded into that by about the age of 7 years old. And, they get about that life.
Yeah.
And, I've noticed, even the black community has a new nickname, Shaun, for the younger black kids out there now.
Right. What is it?
The YNs.
Oh, okay.
The young N-words.
Oh.
That's what they call them, the YNs.
Oh, I thought it was like youngins. That's where my mind was going.
No, it's the YNs. They are acknowledging that this current generation are a bunch of crash test dummies.
Right.
Out there. That's what I see in the post. I'm just reiterating what I see, and that's even coming from people that you would typically think that don't like me. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They have a problem with this current generation. Well, they're a creation of your own. Sit them down and start praying with them. Let's see here. Yeah, Michael said, "Let that lady keep talking." Michael, I had to let her go, man. We were out of time because Miss Sylvia can and will in fact talk. She can and will. Let's see here. We do get an update here on a case. This is coming from Dark Horse Press. Sheriff Tucker in Madison on the Myra Lewis case says, "No doubt in my mind, who knows what happened." So if y'all want to read that story, an update on the Myra, you remember that one, Shaun?
Yeah, is that the girl that went lost in the woods?
Little young girl, black girl.
Yeah, was it the girl that went lost in the woods or something?
I thought she got kidnapped.
Something, yeah. I vaguely remember it.
Yeah, from up in Canton.
Yeah.
Up that area. But
little girl,
Yeah.
Yeah, she's on the FBI list, right? Age 2 at time of disappearance. It's March 1st, 2014.
Yeah. And there's a lot of rumors out there. And whatnot. It's interesting. So if y'all want to read that story, it's over at darkhorsepressnow.com. I just got an update on the phone from that. And And man, we got some. I want to mention. I got a friend of mine that texts into the show a lot, and I don't want to mention his name, but
rap song, and it was just, it seemed perfectly natural and common sense for them to do that, which is, I mean, crazy to us. Like, why would anybody? First of all, if I commit a crime, I'm not going to sing a song about it. I'm not going to write it down. But they were celebrating the fact that they had done this, you know, and that's concerning, I would think. So
it is, and that's why it's hard for me to take their faux outrage serious about it. Like, man, you're just mad because I am who I am, and I called this out. You're not, you know. How about get mad at this kid that did it? Mm-hmm. You know, how about question what led him to thinking that this was acceptable behavior?
Right.
I mean, look, I'm as pro 2A as it gets, but I don't think an 18-year-old kid needs a Glock with an extended magazine.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. There's nothing you should be involved in at 18 where you need to be rolling like that. Mm-hmm. It just no. But whatever. All right, we're coming back from the break. Boom goes the dynamite. It's hour 2 of the most incendiary show on the radio as well as the internet. This is the Clay Edwards Show with Shaun YURTKURAN on a hump day. No, that ain't hump day. I've been a day off all week.
Post hump day.
Yeah, it's Thursday. Post hump day. Thursday here on the Clay Edwards Show. I want to thank Matthew Bishop for filling in for me yesterday. They had some weather issues up here yesterday with the power was kind of going in and out and whatnot. But anyway, Matt filled in for me. I had a scheduled day off there, and I took it. So thank you, Matt, for filling in. But we are back live here. This segment is brought to you by our friends over at Watkins Construction and Roofing. Hail season is around the corner. Not all hail damage can be seen from the ground. Have Watkins come inspect your roof and give you a no-cost, honest assessment. They will call it like they see it, and it might not mean you need a new roof. You might just need a repair. They do those every single day. Visit them online. They will come out and do a complimentary roof inspection. That's right. There's no charge to you for them to come out and tell you what's wrong with it. Watkins is a big enough player in the game that they don't have to replace every roof. Like, you replacing your roof versus fixing your roof ain't the difference in them being able to pay their bills or staff that week. Mm-hmm. They're a big operation. They don't have to do it like that. A lot of places do. A lot of places, they're trying to sell you the whole roof every time, and that's not what they do at Watkins. Check them out online today. NoMoreRoofLeak.com. That's NoMoreRoofLeak.com. That's Watkins Construction and Roofing. Shaun? Let's get to it, shall we?
Yep. I've been waiting for this one.
I know. Real quick, the Mazda Jackson phone line, 601-879-0002. The Guns and Gear text line, 769-241-1944. If you're going to call, I only want to discuss whatever we're talking about in the moment. I don't want to circle back to the prior conversation. We're leaving that one in the last hour. So let's do this. Yesterday, Delbert Hosemann. I'm not going to play the video again. It's on my Facebook. It's all of my social media platforms. If you want to see it, jump on one of those wherever you're watching this or one of the other ones and check it out. Delbert Hosemann was up at the podium yesterday in the Senate chambers about 11:15, right after 11 o'clock in the morning. They were doing whatever. Somebody was reading a bill, and boom, Delbert collapses. And he takes a hard hit, man. I'm telling you.
He did.
When he falls out and his head hits the table, he's lucky he didn't break his neck.
Yeah, he's lucky that didn't kill him. That was pretty. The way that his head hit that table, the impact looked pretty significant.
It was. He's a tall guy, and when you're tall and you fall like that, it's a further fall. It's a harder fall. Mm-hmm. But so he rushed to the emergency room by private vehicle. He comes out, releases a statement that he was dehydrated and whatnot. And I'm just going to be honest. I don't believe that, but that's just me. I think that he's overworked. He works himself. I mean, one thing that we know about Delbert is he's there more than anybody. 7 days a week.
And I heard that, knowing, about him since I was in high school, because he worked at, I forget what law firm it was, that my dad's company did business with. He's always been known as a workaholic. The guy is just is a workhorse. I mean, he really has. I think his whole career.
Yeah. So what I thought was strange yesterday is, I met a buddy of mine for lunch over at McBee's, and I started getting text messages from some people like, hey, man, do you have that video? Some of the outlets that posted it are deleting it. I was like, well, that's kind of strange. Why are they scrubbing the internet? Why are they trying to scrub this video? And then it was Super Talks News Twitter handle. You noticed that.
Mm-hmm.
They deleted it.
They did.
And one of the big antagonists, kind of Democrat antagonist on X in the local political community, Jay Allen, had posted it initially, and he deleted it.
Yeah, there was a scrubbing going on, and I saw a lot of other politicos post messages or tweets that were saying, I sent you a couple of them, that said, take this down for good and decency. And I'm like, this is total horse crap, man. I mean, like, if this was Joe Biden, you would have no problem with it. But now, because it's Delbert Hosemann, you're like saying it's indecent. It's not indecent at all. We weren't sitting there like, you and I, we were looking at the videos. We're not like, oh my God, look how, we weren't laughing at it. Nobody was laughing or mocking or doing anything, to disparage him. I think it was, I hope he's okay. But also, this is concerning about his ability to perform his functions as lieutenant governor and a potential governor in 2027.
Well, and I thought, your comparison to Joe Biden was dead on. We mocked and laughed and everything with those Joe Biden videos, and I never saw one of these Republicans suggest to take that down.
Yeah,
I mean, this is our lieutenant governor. I mean, I need to know, is he mentally fit enough to be making legislative decisions?
Yeah, and I think, and I know, I did a live with Lindsay last night talking about this, but I do think he was the front runner. Do you agree with that? That he was probably at least the most well-known candidate for governor. Now, that doesn't mean he was going to win. Jeb Bush was the front runner in 2016. Yeah. Hillary Clinton was the front runner in 2008. Gary Hart was the front runner in 1988. I mean, it doesn't mean you were going to win.
Yeah, I can get with you on that, especially because he's kind of said it that he's running.
Yeah,
I mean, it fell pretty flat when he did it, but everybody knows that he wants to be governor.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I think his intentions were to run for governor. I'll be interested to see if the family doesn't interject and, say it's time to come home. Because, I mean, think about this. When you're going to elect a first-term governor, you're hoping that they can run for 2 terms, right?
Sure.
I mean, that's what you're hoping for. He would be 89 years old by the end of that second term. Bro, we don't need a governor in their 80s. I'm sorry. Like, dude, you have done, Delbert, whether I agree with you on everything or not, you have given it all to the state of Mississippi.
Yeah, he has.
I mean, I think you wrote 90% of the tax code. I mean, he's done a lot. 16 years as Secretary of State, going into his second term as Lieutenant Governor. Bro, thank you for your service. And I mean, and again, I think he's a Democrat. I don't agree with a lot of his stuff, but that's irrelevant to this. You've done enough, and I think this video, I don't think any candidate necessarily would ever play it in a direct ad, but you don't think some PACs are already?
I mean, if he decides to run, I mean, yeah, it's going to be splattered everywhere.
Absolutely.
I mean, and people are going to say, I can't believe, there'll be people say, I can't believe that PAC is running that commercial, but they're still going to run it. I mean, they don't care. They're going to do it anyway. I personally think his political career ended yesterday. I don't see how it goes on. And that's something I'm happy about. I've never been, I know you're not a Delbert fan. I've never had a problem with him. But I'm just saying just the political reality of it is that he can't, I don't think there's any way he could possibly run for governor now.
Well, especially, I mean, look, even if yesterday hadn't happened, he's been bitten by the Joe Biden curse.
Yeah.
I mean, people have seen, and we're seeing now more than ever, like Mitch McConnell freezing up and glitching up on stage.
Dianne Feinstein.
You're just seeing it more and more. People are fed up with sending these corpses to office.
Yeah, because, I mean, it's about public service, but it becomes about power, obviously, and then they just don't ever want to give it up. Like, they never want to give it up because that's their whole existence is this power. And then they got a whole infrastructure around them, their staffers, those people. It's about their power, too. And if the figurehead quits, then everybody else loses their power, too. And, like, nobody wants that. And so that's and I'm sure, that's why you may have seen some of that scrubbing yesterday. I'm sure there was a lot of calls made, get this down. I mean, why is Super Talk taking it down? Like, why Super Talk News? Why are they taking that down? It is news. It was on WAPT this morning. I watched it before I left. I mean, it's not like this was not a newsworthy, important subject. And again, no one was mocking him. No one is like taking glee. I mean, maybe some people are that were, but I don't know what I was going to say. But I mean, I think general citizens are not taking glee in this. They were all, hoping he's okay. But it's something that the public needs to know, just like they needed to know about Joe Biden, which was hidden many, many times over. And then actually, people on the right were mocked for exposing it, saying they were what was the deep fakes or something? What was the term? You remember what I'm talking about?
Deep fakes?
Is that what it was called?
Talking about the videos?
The Joe Biden stuff. Yeah. They the left was saying this is all fakes and but it wasn't. It was real. I mean, that's kind of like, I feel like that's what a lot of these folks are doing. Like, oh no, we're gonna get this off the internet now, But it's too out there for that. I mean, I think everybody saw it and you're kind of done. So
yeah, well, I doubt that Super Talk suddenly grew a heart and it's like, oh man, we shouldn't have posted that. I'm sure somebody from his staff, some of his staffers called out there and reminded Super Talk how much of their budget, how much of their advertising money comes from the state of Mississippi.
100%.
And they got told to take it down. Now that's just my assumption. I'm not guaranteeing that's what happened. That's just but it tracks.
If Brandon Presley or Jim Hood had been in a podium and fell like that, I think they would have run it on repeat.
Yeah.
I mean, the Democratic opponent, they would have run it on repeat. I mean, they're just, I don't, Ronnie Musgrove fell. They would have done the same thing. So.
I had another local member of the media here in Mississippi reach out to me personally last night after I made my long post calling out these people for their righteous indignation. Mm-hmm. And he says, I agree with you. He goes, I was going to post it, but chose not to, but I should have.
Yeah.
I said, well, I understand people not posting it. My thing is, the people who posted and deleted, and then the people shaming people for posting.
Yeah, the shame was really really ridiculous.
If you're a Politico, you're familiar with the name Hayes Dent, and I just thought this grinded my gears a little here. Mm-hmm. He said most of us now know our friend Delbert Hosemann had a medical issue at the Capitol this morning. For the love of God and decency, replaying and posting that video is not necessary. Take them down now.
Did he say that about Joe Biden? If you check his tweets from the last 4 years, I'm just saying. I
probably
did not.
Sure. Yeah, I'm sure he didn't. And I saw a lot of that yesterday, but that's just the one that really, really stuck out.
Like we're bad people for posting the Delbert video. I just don't see how it's relevant. It's very relevant for the public needs to know who they're voting for, and that if he's not in health condition, I mean, I don't know. What I heard was that he didn't go to the hospital. So you're saying he did go to the ER?
Well, that they said that he was going to the ER.
Okay, I heard that he actually did not go. I don't know if that's true or not either, but that was what was relayed to me. And then, of course, he went with this dehydration story, which just like to you just said, I feel like is probably not the accurate representation. Did he get I think he has a duty, Clay, like to get, is it when you have a concussion, is a CT scan, is that what it's called? Release those results to the public. I mean, if we're in the NFL, the players release that. They have to put it out there. So and so Tua got a concussion or whoever got a concussion. I mean, I think we should know if the lieutenant governor got a concussion or some kind of brain injury from that impact on the deaths there. I think that's important.
I agree. The Guns and Gear text line is 769-241-1944. The Mazda of Jackson phone line 601-879-0002. Jerry, try calling back, man. I left you on hold there. We're going to break now. Would love to hear you guys' thoughts on this. Do you think Delbert has a future in politics beyond this? Let's see here. We'll take Jerry's call before the break real quick. Hey, Jerry, you got you, brother. You're on there. Hey, you're on there. A lot of noise there. Jerry, try calling back, brother. We'll be right back. Live on WYAB, streaming worldwide at Save JXN on Facebook, X, YouTube, and Rumble. This segment, real quick, brought to you by our friends over at Men's Health in Mississippi. You just heard the ad there. Guys, it's real simple. Get your complimentary testosterone screening by texting my name, Clay, to 601-327-8550. Some of the symptoms of low T are fatigue, decreased muscle tone, lack of energy, low libido, brain fog, and sleep disturbances. And hey, sometimes it's just as easy as, not being able to put the muscle on you want to put on. I was talking to a buddy of mine at lunch yesterday who's been doing it, and he used to have terrible, terrible anxiety problems. And he said, man, I have not had any anxiety since I've started taking this testosterone. He's like, legitimately.
It helps with that. It really does.
It does.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so much more than just working out type stuff. I can't recommend it enough. Men, text 601-327-8550. Text my name, Clay. And, hey, look, guys, if you're interested in Ozempic, they have the generic Ozempic there. It's called it's semi-glutide. It's compounded. Shaun and I both take it, and I'm at my lowest weight in my adult life at 239 pounds as of this morning, and couldn't be more excited, couldn't feel better. Still working out and dieting right and some other stuff too, but it has made a huge, huge difference in how much in the portion sizes that I eat. And you save a ton of money. I'm hearing Ozempic's like $1,400 a month.
Yeah,
I think this is around $350-ish, somewhere in there. I don't really like talking about the money stuff on the air because I don't know the exact price, but check them out. Text weight loss if you're interested in that. That's men and women. That's their new care clinic inside the same building. It's owned by the same people. Just text weight loss to 601-327-8550 if you were interested in the generic Ozempic. And it has so many other benefits beyond just weight loss too. And we could do a whole show about that sometime, but we're going to stay on topic this morning. Let's go to Jerry on the Mazda of Jackson phone line and see if we got that right this time. Hey, Jerry, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I apologize. I was in a bad area and meant to hang up before you put it on, so I didn't even realize it. Sorry about that.
All good.
Well, talk about Delbert. Sorry he's not feeling well, but you mentioned something about Super Talk and a gentleman who's a lobbyist. And one of the things you probably already know, and I'm sure that, Shaun knows, is that there's not a thing on Super Talk that is not pre-run, pre-approved and everything by whoever's in office on the Republican side. Basically, the first question they ask anybody, I'm going to not say what I'm going to say, but they ask them a question and it has to do with oral hygiene before the interview. They want them to spit or swallow because when they're doing their interviews, because it is that's why they're taking it down. They were told to. Yeah. And I'm sorry it happened, but it is news. And unfortunately, and I hope he's okay. But that's basically, if we had a USAID from Mississippi, you'd see money going to some of these news outlets. Not y'all's, and not a few other ones. But I do feel sorry for him. But I've been dehydrated before, and I don't remember face planting when I had availability for water. But somewhere by, but maybe it is something medical condition.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to, again, my unprofessional opinion and taking some other things that I've heard from people, I'm going to guess that it probably wasn't dehydration. But, again, that's just my speculation.
And I was just telling Clay at the break, yesterday morning, if anybody recalls, it's pretty cold. And I get up, I do this thing like where I ruck like with a military sack. And I was 6 in the morning, I was like, I'm going to get out there. And I'm like, it's a little too cold for that. So I just have this highly doubt that Delbert was jogging.
They say he went out on a run yesterday morning.
It was pretty cold. It was pretty cold yesterday morning.
Anyway, I'm praying for his health, but it is newsworthy, and we need to know and someone chastising people for posting it. That's I don't know. There are other motives for them to do it because, like y'all said, if it had been someone else, he would have been posting it somewhere, or his firm would have. All right, Wham. Thank y'all.
Appreciate you, Jerry. Yeah, I think there's a lot of people who are in the Delbert Hosemann business, the business of Delbert Hosemann. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of people who want to ride that horse, and I get it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I get it. We've all got our guys, and they want to ride that horse and don't want to see it come to a stop because I talked to somebody pretty influential yesterday, and they said that video out there ends his career.
Yeah,
and I mean this is somebody that's not a hyperbolic person, and it's like that video ends his career.
I don't think there's any other way you can look at it. I think it's over at this point. And I wonder, does it end his lieutenant? Does he have to resign shortly? Does that come in the next few months where we're going to see something like that? Based on, if his health condition is in a bad state. Now, of course, he can have his staffers push him around for another couple of years. I guess that's probably the most likely outcome, I would think. But how significant? I think he has a duty to have some sort of his medical information released to the public at this point. I think because he's still got 2 years left on that term, 2.5. Is that right? 3. Yeah, 3. Is it 3 now? Yeah, 3. Yeah, sorry, 3. So, I think he's got a duty to release that information, so we all know, what his condition is, and can he continue doing the job? I'm like you. I don't buy the. I was dehydrated in February because I was out running in 25-degree weather or whatever, 30-degree, whatever it was yesterday. So I'm not buying that. Maybe that's true. He can easily prove that. Like he can say, here's my clean bill of health, from my doctor. And I think he has a duty to do that. And I mean, that's the thing about it. People talk about, well, it's privacy. No, it's not. When you run for office and you get elected, you forego that. And it's something you don't have to run for office. You don't have to serve in a public capacity. But if you choose to do that, then the public has the right to know about all those things. Now, if you don't want that, go do another job. Be a private lawyer. I mean, the public doesn't have the right to know my information because I run my own law firm. Yep. But I'm not elected. So if you get elected, you just subject yourself. You have a duty to release that kind of information.
I agree. I mean, like I say, he's making legislative decisions as the leader of the Senate, and I need to know that he has the mental wherewithal to make the right decisions.
Yeah.
Whether I agree with those decisions or not isn't relevant. But are you making the right decisions? I mean, like Joe Biden, that story came out after he got out of office where he had signed a executive order and didn't even know he had signed an executive order, thought he had approved some research onto something, about something, but he had signed a crazy executive order about the drilling, about, the land, the water or whatever, and drilling, whatever, but just some more crazy stuff. But he was like, no, I didn't sign that.
That's right.
So,
Yeah, I think
his staffers got him doing their will.
There was so much of that, and it's come out obviously post this election, and even the stuff about how they knew the minute he was inaugurated that there were significant issues.
Yeah,
there were being, and there was immediately there was a, I'm sure they knew during the campaign too.
Yeah,
but so there was a whole concerted effort, and and then in Joe's sake, they did a pretty good job of hiding it for a few years, and then claiming that it was all deep fakes like we're talking about. Delbert's problem here is that everybody saw it, like Biden didn't fall out at the State of the Union where there was just his biggest moment was of course the debate that we all saw where everybody was like, no way you can deny that this guy's messed up. Delbert hit it where now everybody kind of same thing where everybody saw it, everybody saw it. And that
it was streaming on their official YouTube channel.
Yeah.
For God's sake.
That's an issue.
Like I made the point to these righteous indignation folks about the video being put up. It's not like it happened at a private deal like at home or something, or even when he's in his private time, maybe at a restaurant and somebody saw it and filmed it on a cell phone.
Right.
Like this happened at work.
Performance of job duties,
yeah. And he wasn't able to do it. I mean, I'm sorry. It's time to take it to the House. Resign. I think she should resign, and call it a day. I mean, I don't think that we need people up there that can't finish the task at 80 years old.
Yeah, I think and if he's not going to do that, I think he needs to go get a physical, go run all the tests, release all this stuff, tell the public, hey, look, it really was a dehydration thing, it was a freak thing, blah blah blah. I don't know what the truth. I'm with you. I don't believe that it was either. But I'm saying if it is true, then he needs to do all those steps to ensure the public that he has the capacity to continue to serve in that function. I would think.
Yeah, agree. And if he does, that's fine. Finish it out.
Yeah.
I mean, again, this isn't my political angst talking here. I'm a citizen, and we have a lieutenant governor that doesn't seem to be physically he's physically fit in the sense he's in, for 80 years old, he's in good shape. He takes care of himself.
He does, yeah.
But do we have some maybe early onset dementia type stuff going on? That's my concern. I don't know any other way to sugarcoat it.
I mean, and I was telling you this yesterday, and I've read about this before. There is just a significant decline between the ages of 70 and 80 that every human being is going to go through.
Yeah.
And it happens later for other people. I think, we saw Joe Biden, his age, obviously in that stage. Donald Trump, kind of different kind of guy. It's not really, doesn't seem to be affecting him in the same manner.
He's an anomaly.
Yeah, he's just kind of, but it's going to happen you can't stop time. It is going to happen. And, Delbert is approaching 80 years old. Maybe he's in that window, and that's just the kind of thing. I've even, our fathers are the same age. I've noticed, and I hate saying this either, but he's slow. My father's slowed down right now. He's almost 76 years old.
My dad has too.
You just know, and it sucks, and you notice it, and you hate it, and you're looking at it, you're like, God, because you just don't want to believe it. But you see that, and you're like, but it's the normal part of aging that's going to happen. I'm glad they've all made it to the point of getting to experience that. They didn't die younger. Me too.
Happy. It's a catch-22. I mean, you hate to see any kind of deterioration mentally in your parents, but I'm glad that we still have them, and that's just part of life.
It is.
It's nothing to be ashamed of or anything. Like, I mean, what happened was embarrassing yesterday for him. I know that, having a bad moment caught and it's there. That sucks. But I think it's time to have the real conversation about taking it to the house.
Yeah, and you speak to, your dad all the time. I speak to my dad all the time, and Dad always tells me, he's like, he ran companies his whole life and workaholic too. And he says, now he likes to go play golf and then go drink, right? And that's what he's earned after all these years. But he'll have to take a nap like at 10 in the morning. Like he's like, I don't know how. So I'm saying he's always saying, I don't know how these guys in their late 70s are doing this, continuing to do this kind of a work, because you just physically, it's very difficult. And my father's in great physical shape, even then, but still, just the matter of age is going to catch us up with everybody, and you can't do anything about it. So we really have, and you and I've talked about this on the radio many times, we can have a real conversation about age limits on these elected offices at some point, or at some point we've got to figure this out, because this is becoming a pervasive problem with, across party lines, that people just want to cling on to power, and we don't, and then we run into these situations.
I agree 100%. When we come back, we'll get to some of your texts maybe, but I want to hit the Google trends in Washington, D.C. I think y'all are going to find this wildly interesting and even entertaining. This is the Clay Edwards Show with Shaun YURTKURAN. Guys, don't forget, get down to Martin's Downtown or Martin's Livingston today and grab you some lunch. And make sure you're following all of their social media accounts for all the upcoming live entertainment. They got some good stuff going on for the parade after party downtown. They're also doing a Mardi Gras, a St. Patty's Day parade function up at the Livingston. It's going to be the weekend before the Jackson one. It's going to be a whole nother event. So that's going to be something really, really fun up there at Livingston. We'll tell you more about that as we get closer to it. This is the Clay Edwards Show. We will be right back. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show here with Shaun YURTKURAN on WYAB. Guys, you may be asking yourself, what is for lunch today? Well, I'm glad you asked, because we got all of our Blue Plate specials here in Central Mississippi pulled up for you. Well, all of the ones that are partners on this radio station anyway. Let's start with my good friends at Burgers Blues Barbecue. Don't forget their all-new Flowood location, located right there at the entrance to Dogwood, in front of Dick's Sporting Goods. And they've, of course, got one on Main Street in Madison, and then my little home base out there on Highway 80 in Brandon, downtown Brandon. But today, being Thursday, red beans and rice with sausage or hamburger steak, and the alternating meat of the day is country fried steak with mashed potatoes, corn, and green beans. And, of course, it comes with a roll of cornbread. Also, it's only $12.50. You can add an extra side for $2. That does include a drink. So, good deal there, all three locations. Next up, we've got our friends over at McBee's. They're on the reservoir. Man, I tell you what.
I miss old McBee's from our college football season, man.
I do too. A great place. Man, look, I've been eating there a good bit lately. They've really got it cranked up and on fire. Michael Wimberly and his team. Today is spaghetti, and man, they do not skimp on the ground beef in their spaghetti. It is loaded up. They also have everyday meats available. The hamburger steak, the chicken breast fried or grilled, or country fried steak. I had the country fried steak a couple of days ago for the first time out there. It's hand battered, made from scratch. Kind of reminds me more like veal cutlets. It's very similar to Martin's country fried steak. So don't hesitate trying that. It looks like they got about a dozen different fresh sides available every day as well. So check out McBee's right there on Lake Harbor Drive. You can check out their website, eatmcbees.com, eatmcbees.com. And last, and certainly not least, we mentioned Martin's a little earlier. The plate lunch today at Martin's Downtown and Livingston is pot roast. And, of course, you can get the full menus available at all of the locations that we previously mentioned, not just the blue plates. And there is don't forget that our good friends at the Manship have a blue plate available every day. It's $15. It's an alternating menu. It's not the same every week. So just check out and see what they have. And don't forget their happy hour pizza prices, 50% off there at the Manship. All right, man. Let's jump back into it. Shaun.
There's only one thing I forgot to mention for the Delbert conversation, which I think is pretty relevant. Now, we both agree that it's over. I think most people probably would agree with that. Who's the front runner now?
Yeah, let's stay on this conversation for a minute. I like this. Well, I think as far as people that we know are doing it, I think Shad is the front runner. And what I'm reading from everywhere, I think Shad is your front runner. And of course, I like Gerard Gibert a lot too.
Yeah, me too.
And he hasn't officially announced yet, but if he does, I think he will be a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah,
he's got a big name, statewide.
Great ideas
he's on
too,
statewide radio.
Yeah,
I like Gerard a lot personally as well, and I just know that from a businessman standpoint, he would be great for economic development in Mississippi.
I did send him that same hat Shockwave was wearing when he qualified, but Gerard did not wear it on middays, and I was hoping he would. He did not wear. I did mail him that hat, but he has not worn it. Maybe Gerard, I'll vote for you if you wear the hat.
What hat was it?
The little skull hat, the yellow hat that Shockwave had on when he was qualified. Yeah. So I got one off Amazon and I sent it to Gerard because Gerard had worn like a Journey T-shirt and thought that was funny, and I said, "All right, why don't you wear the Shockwave hat on middays one day?"
Yeah. Now, we poke at Super Talk a lot, but I'm a big Gerard fan.
Yeah, it's a great show.
I'm a big Gerard. Well, not just the show, but just as a person, and I think his ability to lead the state. I like Shad. Obviously, I've turned the corner on Shad since we've got an opportunity to get to know Shad a little bit.
Me too. I've changed my opinion. I still don't agree about the book. I don't agree about that. But other than that, I think he's a capable guy, and I agree with you. I think he's the front runner for sure now.
Public sentiment is on Shad's side.
Yeah.
And what Delbert and them did last week with trying to come up with that rule, that law to limit his abilities, it looked bad. The timing of that couldn't have been worse, and everybody tied in with that. Shame on you, as Elon and Trump are going through with this Doge stuff and exposing all of this corruption, and you guys are trying to come up with something to limit the state auditor's ability to audit certain departments. It's a bad look. The optics were terrible. I mean, terrible. Even if the intent may not have been that bad, the optics were terrible, and you see how much America is loving seeing this corruption be exposed, and you had the audacity to do that. I mean, you made Shad the front runner.
That's. I was having a conversation with somebody last night, this guy, and that's just what you just said. Shad White has really pulled off a political miracle right now, and here's what I mean. So last summer, he is looking really not great in the GOP community because he had called out everybody. He'd called out, Mike Hurst, too. I liked a lot, and I don't agree with him calling Mike out and those. Yeah. But still, I still have the same opinions about that.
Mike's also not an elected official.
He's not.
But he is head of the GOP. But he didn't know it at the time.
No, he didn't know. And then Lynn Finch, who I do agree with a lot of those criticisms. So he's kind of looked at it as a pariah like last summer, and all the way now Delbert attacks him and tries to limit him, which is obviously trying to neuter your potential opponent in the 2027 election. And then Delbert has this health event. So it now looks like Delbert was trying to neuter his potential political opponent, and he was covering up a possible health condition. I'm not saying I don't know that he does. This is just the assumption that that's a possibility that him and his staff may have done that, right? So, and again, not saying it's 100% true, just what it looks like.
How it looks.
It looks that way. I mean, then you go with the pulling off the videos and all that stuff. It looks like a Joe Biden kind of situation that we're running into. So you got all that. Now Delbert looks really bad, and Shad looks like really good. And so he then catapults into being the front runner that he wasn't 6 months ago. It's really, really fascinating, actually.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, I think that he's turned the corner, and also I think that he did look like a pariah a little bit last year going after other conservatives. But now look at how the tides have changed. Look at Tate Reeves going after other conservatives. I mean, you're really seeing a gloves-off mentality with these folks here in the state. And I go back and forth on it, but I think at the end of the day, I like it because it feels more authentic. Tate's doesn't feel authentic. Is why I didn't like it. It's not that I didn't like Tate doing it. I mean, for the entertainment purposes. Thank you.
Yeah, it's good for the show. Yeah, right? You can talk about it. Yeah,
it's great for business. I'd be lying if I said otherwise.
Sure.
It just comes across as inauthentic, and then seeing everybody try to jump on it and virtue signal and do some of the stuff they did. Like I didn't care for what's his name from the coast. All upset. The guy
Joe Carter.
Joe Carter. I just thought that looked silly. I'm not attacking Joe. I've met him. I like him. But it just came across, again, as inauthentic. And getting up there in the well and basically crying about we got to have some more decorum and all this. Our families are on Twitter. Well, maybe they shouldn't be.
That's a good authenticity. What you just said is a good point. That's kind of one of the reasons Donald Trump is president, because people view him to be an authentic human being. Like, he is who he is. That's who he is. Like it or not like it. I think Tate is not a very personable guy. Yep. He's not very funny. He doesn't have those kind of qualities so it's hard for him to do that Facebook attack, that Twitter attack looked inauthentic, because if you had done it, we'd be like, that's Clay, or something and that wouldn't have been weird. But Tate just doesn't have that kind of. If Shad had done it, Shad's kind of funny, Shad's kind of attacking. Yeah. He could have pulled it off. But people have a hard time of, you see this a lot in this kind of political era where people Republicans try to parrot Trump. They try to be Trump. But everybody really can't be, because he is who he is. That's the kind of guy he is.
You have to be authentic.
Yeah, and so when you try to do something that's like, I'm being Trumpy, a lot of them look stupid because they can't do it the way he does it. It's not them. Now, some people can pull it off, and they are kind of like that. And I think, and so you got to kind of stick to who you are. And I think Tate doing that, it's like, you're reading it, you're like, did AI write this, Tate? Or something? You're not really, it doesn't seem real.
Yeah, I mean, Shad does a few things that are cringy. I mean, and I'm not going to just call him buddies. I like him now. Doesn't mean I'm not going to mention those things. I thought the comparing the JD Vance comparison nicknames are kind of corny, but whatever. It's his social media. Yeah. Do it as you wish. Not necessarily what I would have done. Sure. But it fits him. I mean, it is what it is.
It was corny as hell. I agree.
Yeah. Jerry texts in on the Guns and Gear text line. I like this. He says, if Shad runs on a Mississippi Doge type platform, he wins.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Is Doge still a buzzword in 3 years? But I think corruption is corruption, and he's been doing that too. I mean, so that is a great point, Jerry. I like that a lot.
The thing is, I was on the drive over here. I was having a conversation with my friend Will. Will, and I said the thing about, so when people are doing all these attacks on Doge, and of course, this is complicated. There's going to be mess ups. I get it, but what I'm saying is, what people all agree on. Nobody says, man, you know what I want? Government waste. Nobody's for that. Whether you're a Republican or Democrat, nobody's saying, man, I want government to waste my money. I want government to, give bogus Social Security checks. Nobody, whatever side of the aisle you're on, nobody wants those things to happen. Everybody would rather hey, this is my tax dollars. I want it spent on whatever they want it spent on. It may be different, but they don't want it used or wasted or fraudulently obtained or whatever it is.
Well, just like we were talking last night, we got to button this up here in about a minute and a half. The cleaning up the Social Security Department and stuff. There's people 300 years old. People they're older than this country getting Social Security checks.
Right. Nobody's for that. That's what I'm saying. Nobody's for that. Nobody's like, yes.
That guy resigned immediately over. He got mad. People were being mean to him. But legitimately, you got millions of people over 100 years old getting Social Security checks. I mean, there's multi-generation Social Security fraud going on here, and people are upset that we're going to stop it.
Yeah, and well, I mean,
look at your paycheck when they have the Social Security number on the bottom of it, the amount they take out for Social Security. Look at that and know that there's dead people's families illegally getting that.
Sure.
And let that simmer with you and get you pissed off.
That's true. I think, but I think nobody. So I think what Jerry's saying there is a good point. Shad can run out because nobody's really against fixing waste.
Yeah. And it's his thing. He's already doing it.
He's already doing it.
Of course, I would still like to see him come in like a wrecking ball through Jackson, but I know that his hands are tied on how he can do that. Yeah. The way the law is written, what the auditor can and can't do. Real quick before I break, I want to read Reagan's text here. He says, "We Republicans are a family. Don't mind the infighting as long as we remember we are family before Election Day." I dig it, and I've gone back and forth on that a little bit too. I know I called Russ Latino out a little bit for kind of going at some Republicans prior to the election. I was like, I think we need to simmer it and wait till after the election. But I don't know. That's just my opinion.
That's the problem, though, when you have a one-party rule state, and I'm sure this is the same issue you have in California, which is when you have one party that's got all the power, they're going to fight amongst each other. They're going to have to. And so, I mean, it happens here. I'm sure it happens in California. Whatever state that there's only one-party rule, you're going to have.
We try to hide confrontation by being kind, and every now and then you got to take the damn gloves off. We'll be right back. All right, guys, we're gonna. I've been saying I wanted to talk about this Google search history stuff the entire show. We've run out of time, so what we're going to do is we're going to give it to you guys exclusively in the next couple of minutes here on this while we're in commercial break. But that was a great segment. I could sit here and talk about that for another hour. I think we're really on to something there. thank you for hitting on that, Shaun.
Yeah, sure. I just thought it was an interesting, way, but what's going to happen now.
Play it forward a little bit. We got a massive audience here on the online too. Almost 700 people. That's big in live time in the mornings. Shaun, you got that Google stuff?
Yeah, I got some of it. So some of the Clay told me about this last night, y'all, and I thought it was pretty fascinating about the Google searches in D.C. post January 20th of this year, obviously, which is Inauguration Day. And one of them, what made me laugh the most, one of the most highly searched terms that WikiLeaks has got up on here that went on to, I don't know what the 100, there's 25, 50, 75, 100, I'm assuming 100 is 100,000 searches. Yeah. It doesn't break it down here on this post, but it shot up from in December 20th of 2024, there was no searches for the term statute of limitations.
Yeah.
And then on January 20th, it went to 100,000 searches. And, if anybody knows, statute of limitations is the time in which they can prosecute you on certain crimes. And so people were a lot of times it'll be a 2-year statute of limitations or a 3-year statute of limitations. So, and not in Mississippi, we have an interesting criminal statute. Most crimes don't have a statute of limitations, but some of them do. And, so they were looking to see is there a statute of limitations for fraud or whatever it was, and that search skyrocketed after January 20th. So I thought that was hilarious.
And what were some of the other ones? Suicide spiked too.
Erase was one of them. Erase
in the sense of erasing your hard drives.
Yeah, was Erase was one of them that was really big. Wipe was another one.
Yep. Offshore money stuff too.
Yeah,
is a big one.
Criminal defense attorney went up by 500%.
Yeah,
criminal defense attorney with that. Which, God, I need to move to D.C. because that's really good.
You're going to see a lot of attorneys take up temporary residence in D.C. for the next year or so.
Well, the thing about it, Clay, too, also the D.C. So you don't have to take a bar exam. Every lawyer in the country can just waive into the D.C. bar, so you're automatically being admitted. Just pay the money.
Oh, that's interesting.
So you could, it's kind of like one of those things where
because it's out of state.
Yeah, it's out of state. So most states you have to become a member of their bar, and you have to take. A lot of states you have to take the test again. Some you can do what's called reciprocity and get in, but D.C. has always been the one where you can just go up there and pay the money, waive in, they do a background check and all that stuff, and you're in. So, a lot of lawyers probably going to move to D.C. right now because they're there's a lot of work. There's a lot of potential work.
You ever seen a criminal defense attorney migration?
Yeah, that's what you're going to think. Well, I've had a lot of friends from Jackson that over the years have moved to D.C. to work up there, lots of them. That's a big thing for lawyers to do because there's so much work for lawyers anyway there, obviously. Yeah. And
there's probably enough there, let's just be honest. But
people keep going. I probably had at least 15 lawyer friends within the last decade that have moved to D.C. and, taken up residence there. So you'll probably see more of that now.
That's interesting. Yeah, so the Google search histories are being very, very telling on our deep state bureaucrats up there that are looking mighty, mighty guilty as Elon and Doge tear through these departments.
500%. 500%. That is insane. And that's everywhere. This is not just crap information. I'm finding this on WikiLeaks. This is Ben Shapiro had an episode about it. So it's, take Ben for what you will. He usually doesn't lie.
Yeah.
All
right, we're coming back.
Yeah.
Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show. As we land the plane for the day, I want to thank Shaun for coming in on a Thursday. You coming tomorrow, Shaun?
Yep.
All right, go. We'll have Shaun tomorrow also. I appreciate all the new listeners or viewers today. I'm seeing, like I said, big numbers online this morning. 700 people right now watching on the live stream in live time. That is big in the morning times. And, of course, thank you to the radio listeners out there. Y'all are the mothership. Y'all are what keeps this train rolling down the tracks, supporting these great sponsors. Well, I'm sure we'll have more to talk about tomorrow. And, of course, follow me online. Shaun, 20 seconds, or follow me online at SaveJXN. Shaun, tell people how to get in touch with you, 20 seconds or less if they need a criminal defense attorney.
Yes, I've got a new office line so people can stop calling my cell phone all weekend, 601-862-1320, or go to onetextlaw.com or just message me on Facebook. A lot of people do that. So.
All right, so if you need a criminal defense attorney to help you wipe your computer clean, holler at Shaun. Peace.